Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we present, oh man, it's the Battle of the Glen 100. Landon Lacey here with me here tonight. Landon, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. We had a really good truck race last night, and now we're here with the Xfinity cars at the Glen, and man, it should be exciting with how close these times are looking on top of the board.
Times look good. People always practice more on the road courses, obviously, because you're turning both right and left. But it also creates a lot more fun out there because you get some people from other series that drop in to either practice with different cars, or you get those road course masters that show up that, maybe might not be having the best year on the ovals, but they can show up and show out here on these road courses.
Yeah, you have guys like you said that that don't do typically well on our regular cookie cutter racetracks, as you like to call them. But they come here to these road courses, and this is the race that they have marked on their calendars for the season. And when it comes to this racetrack, they just outperform, and you really don't expect it until we get here and they show up.
Oh yeah, and I mean tonight we've got it looks like we've got 35 cars on the list already. I'm sure we'll get a few more here as we've got about 8 minutes left of practice before we jump into qualifying. But yeah, it's going to be a great race. It's not going to be a long race though. No cautions on the road courses, because if we had that, then we'd be here all night long. But that just makes for a very, very quick race, but also a very dangerous race, because if you get damaged out there with no fast repairs, your night could be done.
Yeah, I think we preached a little bit of that last night. If you can, keep your car clean and keep it on the racetrack and be disciplined, you come out like Matt Johnson last night in the Truck Series, finished top 5, and he needed a good points night, and he was able to, not have any damage, keep it on the racetrack. And if you can do that here tonight, you could also find yourself finishing in that top 5.
Well, speaking of points, we are in week number 12 out of 20. Now, that sounds like we're a little more than halfway through the season, but the problem is that the playoffs start after week 13. So this is one of the last races, one of the 2 last races before we get to the actual playoffs. And so there are a lot of drivers right there around that cut that need tonight to go well for them. So just like Landon was saying, the advice for tonight is keep your car on the track. Don't make any crazy moves. That one position that you take is not going to win you the race typically. So just hang back, just stay on the track, stay clean.
Yeah, and we talked about some guys look forward to this racetrack. Some other guys look at this racetrack as like a Talladega or a short track. They look at it as kind of a throw up race, so to say, because a lot of guys don't like road courses as some others do. And so I think we're going to see some guys do really well tonight, and I think we're going to see some guys really struggle to get their grips around this racetrack.
Yep, 40 laps here tonight, no fast repairs. So once again, I mean, we're sitting here watching turn 1 right now, which is one of the harder turns here because you've got so much speed coming into it. You've got to brake really, really hard, and guys are just sliding off the track left and right here, and so still struggling to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our calamity corner for the night, but plenty of other places that could go wrong. You have the bus stop section into the carousel. Then you also have turn 7, which is a tight left-hander that if you overshoot, you get off in the sand. And we saw that, hurt Brad Herman with Walt Lipicki last night.
That's right. So, and that's the other crazy part about this is you could be so far ahead of the entire pack that you get into that lap traffic, and sometimes that lap traffic just doesn't have complete control over the car. And so we have seen it in multiple road course races where the best car out there does not win because of that lap traffic. So just kind of keep in mind, we've got a lot of stuff to go through. You've got to pick your spots. But here in the Xfinity Series, 20 weeks, fixed setups, no fast repairs, $10 a week to get in. But for that $10 a week, you get a chance for $500 first place.
Yeah, and we talk about that $10 a week, and I feel like we touch on this just about every week. But you have, your 20 weeks at 10 a week, that's $200, and if you, win the championship, that's $500. But then you also have the team championship that you would split with your teammates, and with 5 people, that comes out to $40. So I mean, you could spend $200 and walk away with $540, but And what we'll get into here in a minute with our race winnings is you could, spread out. If you can finish in the top 5 every week, you can spread that out, as we see right here. $30 for second, $20 for, $30 for first, $20 for second, and then $10 through third through fifth. And some guys finish so well, Sean, that they pay that $10 at Daytona at the beginning of the season and not really have to pay anything throughout the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, your teammate James Holzer up in the Cup Series, I don't think he's paid for a race this season besides race 1. And so it's kind of how it works. So just kind of be consistent, get up there in that top 5, and just keep on moving forward. But the big money is here in the playoffs when you can get to the season payouts. And so the top 8 will get paid this season. Last season it was only top 5, so we've expanded that out. And so we've made it so many different ways that you can still get in the playoffs if you come in late to the league. You can still win money with the team standings. You can win money even if you're not in the final week. You can win that 6th, 7th, or 8th place. So there's so many different ways to make money here at Speed Racing Network.
And we not only talk about driver count at the end of some of these leagues, but I think a lot of this has to do with the appreciation from all the owners and ads here at SRN to add a little bit more incentive for guys to race for at the end of the season. And I'm really happy they did this, because it really makes just about everybody happy.
Just about everybody, but here we go with Kane Cook. So if you want to be happier, and if you want to make more money in iRacing, or if you want to be more competitive in a free league, however it is, sim coaching is the way to go. And Kane Cook, one of the best sim coaches out there, he's running with the big boys up in the Coca-Cola series, so he knows all the secrets of iRacing that you need to know in order to be better on the track.
Yeah, and you see that I rating of 7414, and he doesn't have just one account at 7,000. He's got 2 accounts at 7,000. And, me, myself, being used to be around a 4,000 I rating, it's hard to get up there. And to do it twice is just about unheard of. But this man knows what he's doing, racing for 300,000 in the Coca-Cola series.
Man, just the time that it takes to get up to a 7,000 I rating. Think about how many races you have to race in throughout the year to get up there. I mean, this guy has to race nonstop, doesn't he?
I wouldn't say nonstop. I mean, I know when I was pushing for it, it was probably about it was just about once a day. Yeah, I'd say. So, yeah, maybe all the time.
Man, I mean, he's a much better driver than I am. That is why I am up in the booth. But SpeedRacingNetwork.com, you can book your time there with Kane Cook. They've got the single one-on-one sessions. They've got 2-on-1s. They've got 4-on-1s. They've got team, however you want to do it. But go to SpeedRacingNetwork.com and book that time with Kane Cook. But Landon, it's one of my favorite segments. I just love this segment every single week. It's the beer of the week, and we've got a nice hard cider here this time around. This week's Beer Street Journal Beer of the Week comes out of Buskey Cider in Richmond, Virginia. They just released a limited edition cider a couple weeks ago called Buskey Strawberry Kiwi. The hard cider features locally sourced Virginia apples, plus strawberries and kiwis. You can find this limited edition hard cider in the Richmond, Hampton Roads, and Nova areas of Virginia. So if you're looking for a hard cider on those cool fall nights, look for the hard cider that smells like strawberries and tastes like kiwi. Look for Buskey Strawberry Kiwi Hard Cider. The Beer of the Week is brought to you by BeerStreetJournal.com, the leading online publication for craft beer reviews. Go to BeerStreetJournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly. Yeah, that is the Buskey Hard Cider, and you were just pointing out to me that look at his hat; it's actually a cherry, and so that is their logo, their symbol. But Strawberry Kiwi Hard Cider, I mean, it smells like strawberries, tastes like kiwis. I'm interested, that's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit on the dumb side at the moment because I said a cherry and then I said an apple. And then I read the logo up there on top of the can and it says apples.
Oh, it could be apples. See, I'm wrong too.
But I said it last night. I'm not much of a kiwi guy, but I'd be willing to try it because like I said last night, I hope it's more strawberry than kiwi. But I'm willing to give something at least one try.
Well, thank you to BeerStreetJournal.com for sponsoring our Beer of the Week. We appreciate them. Definitely go to BeerStreetJournal.com to find your next great beer. But now it's time to find the next great driver here in the Xfinity Series as we look at the inside the cut standings. The top 5 here all have a chance to point their way in here tonight without help from anybody else.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking outside of the top 5. I'm looking at someone like Adrian Schumacher, who's really, really fast on road courses, sitting there just a little bit above that cut line, but he could possibly have a great night to help secure his place in the playoffs.
Yeah, and really, I mean, just get in the top 15. You don't have to be as high up as Greg Olenek or Jordan Bain or Rhett Tucker. Just get in is the main thing, and then you have the chance. Now, they do get to keep their bonus points throughout the season. We'll get more into that as we get into the playoffs. So they do get to keep their bonus points for round 1 of the playoffs, and so that'll help a little bit. But for the most part, these guys are going to go in pretty even once they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, after once we start the playoffs, everything gets set evenly, except for those bonus points that everybody has. But I think once we get there, that's when some of these guys are probably going to crank it up a little bit.
Well, take a look tonight. We've got some clinching scenarios here. So 5 of our drivers can clinch just if they do this. Now, they can still clinch if other things happen, but this is just on them and nobody else. But Greg Olenek, if he comes in 21st or better, then he's in. Jordan Bain, 20th or better. Rhett Tucker, 12th or better. Devin Zimmerman, 2nd place or better. And if Seth Reid wins the race, then he is in. So definitely some guys that are going to punch their tickets here tonight. But there's some guys that are definitely knocking on the door. Take a look at those top 4 spots on the outside the cut list, all within 6 points of that cut line.
Yeah, you got Stan Houseman, Bo Tiffany, Corey Saucier, someone I really thought after moving up from a successful truck season last season was someone I expected to be in the top 15, and he's just right outside there. And you got Jose Castellanos. Really, those are the 4 guys that I'm looking at. Nathan De La Rosa is still 16 points out, but I think those 16th through 19th are really the 4 guys that you would focus on.
Definitely. And even if they're out, they still have the playoff lucky dog in week 14. So if you are the best driver in week 14, which is the first week of the playoffs, and you're not already in the playoffs, we let you into the playoffs. So nobody is out at this point, which is great. They're just pointed out, but nobody is completely out of the playoffs yet. So keep that in mind. But nobody's out of the team standings yet either. So 8 teams are going to go into the bracket, and then we're gonna figure out who's going to win the thing. But right now, Rev Racing here tonight could clinch that number 1 seed.
Yeah, I believe with the points lead they have, if they can put a pretty good run in tonight, I believe they'll clinch that number 1 spot going into the playoffs. Still a little close there between Tank Racing and Striker Motorsports.
And it may be a blessing and a curse. And sorry to cut you off. It may be a blessing and a curse for Rev Racing because JW Racing, who came in kind of late in the season, they are a very, very fast, good team. But they look like they're going to have the 8th rank locked up. So it could be a very interesting round 1.
Yeah, I mean, JW Racing's come in and they've been one of the better teams out there on the racetrack. And Rev Racing's been another one of the best race teams out there all season. So it'll be nice to see those two heads up in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, let's take a look at each of these teams here really quickly as we've still got about 5 minutes left before we get out there onto the racetrack. But we'll start off with Rev Racing, who is just far and away leading this point standings, and why wouldn't they be? They've got Jordan Bain and Greg Olenek, the top 2 in the standings right now.
Yeah, and we talked about Greg Olenek earlier needing a 21st place finish, and he was talking last night about not being really confident with his road course ability, so he was just focused on making sure that he clinched his spot tonight. So he's going to just try to make sure he can get that 21st or better.
Well, next up, we got Tank Racing and their Xfinity team. They do have teams in all 3 series, but their Xfinity team has been together longer than any of the other 2 teams. Derek De Silva, Devin Zimmerman, Mike Lepicki, they've been racing together for a long, long time. But then they add Vincent Cortez, who is just absolutely incredible this year, and a road course master in Adrian Schumacher as well. So, I mean, nobody is safe from this team.
Yeah, and we talk about Adrian Schumacher actually won the Cup race back at the Charlotte Roval earlier in the Cup Series earlier in the season. So look for him to be really strong tonight.
Definitely, he's had fast times all night, but so is his teammate Vincent Cortez. So keep an eye out on the entire Tank team, as they've got a good shot at this race here tonight. But Stryker Motorsports also right up there towards that second place spot, where they could through the upset. They could move into that second place spot if Tank has a bad night. But Jose Castellanos, our broadcast partner, Brandon Domain, who had a great race last night, by the way, Tyler Markle, who has a win on the season, and then Jack Hedgecox, who says that he's really good at these road courses.
I'm looking at Brandon Domain because he's had some really hard luck here lately in the Xfinity Series, but ran the Truck Series race last night and finished 6th. So look for him possibly to turn his luck around tonight, as he had some practice last night in the Truck Series.
Well, keep in mind that back there at the Roval, Jack Hedgecox got spun and he got sideways and right out of Heartbreak Turn, and it really, what happened was he blocked the entire track, and so he really had a horrible race. But right now he's slotted in the number 1 spot on the board, so he knows how to get around a track like this.
Yeah, that dreaded roadblock at the Roval. I was back when I was actually in the Xfinity Series. I remember all about that. But yeah, he's looking good out there right now.
Next up, R&D Motorsports, who already has a fan out there in the chat. Robert Yo saying, let's go R&D. And their team, again, another team that's kind of middle of the pack on the scoreboard, but really has a strong presence here. Dylan Patterson, Bo Tiffany, Corey Saucier, Stan Houseman. I wouldn't want to race heads up against any of these guys.
No, and like we talked about earlier, I'm really keeping my eye on Corey Saucier because he's right there on the edge of getting in. He's still, I still think he has it in him to get into the top 15 before the end of Michigan next week.
See, I'm thinking Bo Tiffany at the same time for the same reason. So he's right there beside it. He just needs one good race, and tonight could be the night for him. But Rev Reloaded is sitting there as well. Now, Rev Reloaded, they only have 3 drivers on the team, but the fact that they are still sitting there in 5th position right now just shows how good those 3 drivers are.
Hey, you got Zach Deuscher, who's a little bit newer to SRN this season. Then you have one of our veterans, Danny Dow, in the 21, and then Nathan Nixon, who's another consistent runner for these Rev guys. Rev had so many guys this season that they had to make a second team. But these guys doing very well for themselves to only have 3 drivers.
I do know that Danny Dow is not going to be here tonight. I don't see Nathan Nixon out there here tonight either, so that's going to hurt the team standings. But also Danny Dow kind of right there on that cut line as well, so he is going to have some makeup work to do next week as we head into Michigan. But let's take a look at Jonathan Beyer Racing. They've been on fire in the Truck Series, and now they just got to get their other series going here. But they have a shot to do that. They do have some good drivers out there as well. I've been watching Nathan De La Rosa and Joshua Marcy wheel it around the track here, so they've got some talent out there.
And these guys, like you said, their Truck Series team has been doing very, very well, and then over here on the Xfinity side, they've had some tough breaks and some bad luck, but they've been constantly up in the top 10 week in and week out. They just have to be able to finish up these races.
Next up, we got Highline Racing, and another team that only has 3 drivers on it, but one of those drivers is Seth Reid, who can get into the playoffs here tonight with a win automatically, or if some other stuff happens out there on the track to make him go up there. So, but still, Daniel Keith Jr., I was also watching him a little bit earlier today, that he was doing very well as well.
Yeah, and Seth Reid's been putting in a lot of practice for this week because I think he already knew what he had to do tonight to go out and win this race. And he put up multiple sessions this week for guys to come out and practice. And I think he'll be someone to look for here at the end of the race.
And finally, our last team out there, JW Racing. They do have a win on the season, and then they also have one driver that has an outside shot of making it into the playoffs. He's still about 40 points out, but with 2 good weeks in a row, he might have a shot. James Shanewoolf has been all over it.
Yeah, and he looked really good in practice. I don't know where he's at on the qualifying board right now.
In qualifying.
So yeah, looked good in practice, looking great in qualifying. If he can put those 2 together and come out here with a top 5 in the race, He's got a good shot if he can do that tonight and do it next week at Michigan.
And finally, we do have independent drivers out there. Tristan Bailey and Rhett Tucker, both with wins on the season. Brad Herman, one of our truck drivers, Lucas Lyons as well, had a good race last night, just had some damage and kind of messed him up. Same thing with Brad Herman, too. Bo Brady, Kyle Benson, Kyle Johnson, three of our Cup Series drivers, and then Austin Purnell, who is one of our independents here in the Xfinity Series. So a good group of independents also, but looks like we've got qualifying wrapped up. Jack Hedgecock is going to lead the way.
Yeah, then you got Vincent Cortez in second, Kyle Benson in third, James Shanewolf, we just talked about him for JW Racing, in fourth, Brad Herman, who led a good bit of the Truck Series race last night and had some bad luck having another strong qualifying in fifth, and Seth Reid, we spoke about him earlier, needing a win tonight, starting sixth.
Yeah, and seventh, Adrian Schumacher. He's got a little bit of work to do, but he's got the talent to get back up there. Jose Castellanos for Stryker Motorsports in eighth. Corey Saucier, one of your picks, is up in ninth. Jordan Bain, one of our series leaders, up in 10th. Joshua Marcy in 11th for Jonathan Beyer Racing. And Ted Reckage from Rev Racing is going to round out our top 12 to start this race off. Whew, it is going to be a fun one. I've got the wrong title of the race up there. That always makes it interesting. So here we go, man. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, there goes the Emmy already.
It's gone.
All right, well, Sean, who are you going to pick for tonight?
Man, I keep going back and forth about it. And I got to tell you, I love everything that I've seen from James Shanewolf. Again, outside chance of making it into the playoffs if he has two extremely good races and some other stuff happens and falls in his favor. But I like the fact that every race we've seen him in, he has been basically stone cold. He has been the guy that doesn't break, and that is going to play into his hand here tonight.
It's a really, really good pick. I kind of want to go with the obvious and go, either with a Jack Hedgecock or an Adrian Schumacher. But I'm going to kind of go with a little bit of somewhat of an underdog. He had I spoke about it just a second ago, having a really, really good run in the Truck Series last night, but having some bad luck. I'm going to go with that 85 car of Brad Herman coming up from the Truck Series. But is really, really good on road courses. So I think he's going to come up here to the Xfinity Series tonight and get it done.
Man, there are a lot. It's very crowded there at the front. Honestly, that top 8 is just formidable on these road courses. So anybody past the top 8 is going to have to get a little bit lucky to really get in there. I will tell you that we will have a camera directed right on turn number 1, which is where all the action actually happens when the race gets started. We always have trouble in turn 1, so that is probably the hardest turn on the track, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think for myself, turn 1's not necessarily the hardest. I think the combination of the bus stop and then into the carousel is your hardest two. Because I like to call the bus stop a corner on its own, just because of the fact that it's just all put together. But I think that's going to be where we see a lot of issues tonight is in that one section right there as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're going to see issues everywhere, definitely. I just know that this very first start, since there are no cautions or anything, this is the only time that the cars are going to be really, really bunched up together. And you're going to have to hit the brakes really hard going into turn 1. And a lot of people wait a little bit too long. Let's put it that way.
Yep, this pace car is going to drop off right here into the pit road, and green flag is out.
And here we go as Jack Hedgecock brings us across the line. And we will go right here to turn number 1 as all the cars start to spread out a little bit. We've already got some 3 wide, which does not work going into turn 1. It looks like we did pretty good.
They made it work.
Did pretty good.
Hedgecock will come out in front, going up through the S's. Bo Tiffany's, that's Kyle Benson in the 01 is up to second. Vincent Cortez following closely behind in third.
Yeah, Brad Herman sitting there in fifth. James Shanewolf right in front of him in fourth. Adrian Schumacher already up a spot. Corey Saucier already up 2 spots. Actually, Adrian Schumacher up 2 spots now.
Like I said before, this is, to me, is one of the hardest sections is getting through that bus stop and then getting off this carousel. You'll want to get onto the throttle right here, and it just wants to snap around on you. But as we see Kyle Benson not letting Jack Hedgecox get away.
You know, we are trained as drivers to go fast, and when you get to the carousel, you have to go slow to make it work, and it just sometimes it doesn't compute with us drivers.
You talking about the race drivers? Or you talking about my mouth? Because sometimes I feel like I speak over myself and stumble. Maybe I should take some advice from my road course racing and put it into what I talk about.
It's like Shane Wolf is going to be on the inside of Cortez, and he is going to get that spot. Cortez going to get filtered out here as Adrian Schumacher goes to the inside as well.
Adrian Schumacher already picked up, he's already picked up 2 spots, going for a 3rd here on his teammate.
Yeah, I think Tank Racing is going to be a little iffy about him being side by side like that. And finally, Vincent Cortez gets in line.
One person I'm looking at is Seth Reid. He actually, we got one in the grass. That is Zach Deutscher for Rev Racing. Got in the grass a little bit coming out of the S's.
Who were you looking at just a moment ago?
I was looking at Seth Reid. He, I think he started 5th or 6th, and he's fallen back to 9th. So maybe saving his stuff a little bit here early and try not to heat up those rear tires. Something we talked about last night.
Yeah, last night tires really came into play, especially towards the later segments of that race. And so maybe some of these drivers learned that lesson. But the other thing is he might just want this thing, as he gets way sideways. But he may just want to just let this stuff filter out and let these cars kind of get away from him, so he can kind of take it easy. But, Zimmerman, he really gets on the brakes hard and almost loses it, but keeps it straight.
That's turn 1. It is harder when you have someone in front of you, because everybody has different braking points. So you have to figure out where they're going to brake so you don't run in the back of them. As we see, Kyle Benson's gotten around Jack Hedgecox for the lead.
And so Jack's not going to let him get too far away too quickly, but those two have kind of broken away from Shane Wolf by a couple of seconds almost. So kind of a 2-car race right now. Now, all these drivers will have to pit at least one time. So that always comes into play as well, as far as when do you want to pit, who do you follow, what do you do?
I don't know if you've seen the back of Kyle Benson's car, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, eat my crust. So he's got a pizza company on his car.
That's pretty good.
I think it's the Screamin' Sicilian. Let me. Yeah, the Screamin' Sicilian Pizza Company.
Definitely getting some airtime for those guys.
Yep.
Hedgecox
gets into the back of him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of rear end damage on that 01 car.
Oh boy! Now Hedgecox, I don't think he was able to capitalize on that at all, or either that, or he noticed that he got into the back of it and said, "Look, I don't want to pass you that way."
Well, not only that, Hedgecox hasn't had anybody in front of him going into turn 1 until right there, and it just shows that these guys brake differently. And Jack just wasn't ready for Kyle to brake.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but brake temperatures and that sort of thing here on iRacing aren't nearly as crucial as what they are in real life. Is that accurate?
Sadly, it doesn't play into effect like you see it in real life. I wish they had some kind of mechanic to where that would be a true thing. But no, there's no such thing as brake fade or anything in these cars.
Yeah, and so really some drivers just don't like to slam on the brake because they lose control of the car. A lot of their brake biases are a little bit different, so the cars react differently as each brakes. So really a tough thing to do, and that's why a lot of times that's what these races are decided by.
Yeah, and Sean, I don't want to alert you too much, but look who's in 3rd place right now.
Yeah, Adrian Schumacher just working his way through the pack, and he is cutting the lead down as well. So he is catching both of these guys as Jack Hedgecox gets a little bit sideways once again. So these cars already falling off a little bit, and you were driving the track a little bit earlier today. You said that it felt like you were skating.
Oh, it was real slick. You had to be really careful when you got back on the throttle, because the rear tires just wanted to spin and the rear end wanted to slide out from under you, especially right here coming out of the carousel. I think the worst two spots that I experienced was right here out of the carousel and off the last corner of turn 8 coming on the front straightaway.
Vincent Cortez was off the track there for a second. Still keeps it straight, but he is losing some time here as Herman gets past him.
Yeah, ran a little bit wide off the carousel there and got into the grass, and you do not want to be on the throttle when you get in that grass because it'll just send you right around. Not like what we had last week at Charlotte where it's turf. This is actual grass.
Going back a little ways, you got Devin Zimmerman here getting followed by Tristan Bailey, as Bailey does everything he can to capitalize on the one he's had this season and hopefully work his way into the playoffs.
I think Bailey, is a good short track racer, and this kind of plays a little bit into the hands of short track drivers with how you brake and how you steer the car. So I really think we'll see Tristan Bailey up in the top 10 before the end of the night.
We'll keep an eye on him, but right now Kyle Benson stretching it out a little bit to about 0.9 of a second roughly. Adrian Schumacher still working on Jack Hedgecock's, less than a second between those two.
I still think we're probably about 3 or 4 laps away from seeing who's leading and taking care of their stuff. We saw the 2 leaders break away from the rest of the field as we see Rhett Tucker go around Seth Reid for 12th. But I really think we're going to start seeing who's taking care of their stuff and who was running all out there in these first couple laps.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker, another one of those drivers that can point his way in tonight. And like we were saying a little bit earlier, it doesn't mean that they have to come in those positions in order to get in. That just means that that's what they have to do in order to not worry about where anybody else finishes. And so it's very, very possible all 5 of those guys could point their way in tonight. Just depends on everything else that's going on.
Yeah, and one person I want to talk about real quick, Sean, was our point leader coming in, Greg Olenek, who needed a 21st place finish. And currently, right now, he is not in that position.
Going back a little ways, let's check in on Greg Olenek here. So he is back here in 28th position. Doesn't look like he's got any damage or anything like that. I think he's just taking it easy, to be completely honest. He knows that all he needs is 21st place, and even if he doesn't get 21st place, he could point his way in anyway, depending on other stuff. But also, he's got next week as well to get those points also. So, I mean, I'm pretty confident. If I had to bet the house on somebody, I think that Greg Olenek's going to be okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I look him.
Lucas Lyons off the track.
Lucas Lyons, he's struggled with that bus stop. He struggled last night with it, got off into the tire wall, and almost
that was almost bad.
Yeah, right there in front of Bo Tiffany, and struggling with that bus stop again tonight. But one guy not struggling right now is 3 guys not struggling is the 01 of Kyle Benson, the 43 of Jack Hedgecox, and the 82 of Adrian Schumacher.
Yeah, Jack Hedgecox has really pulled Kyle Benson back in under half a second now. Adrian Schumacher's kind of maintained the distance between himself and Jack Hedgecox. So these 3 drivers, they've broken away by about 4 seconds over 4th place James Shane Wolf.
Yeah, and I think for Shane Wolf, I think it's good for him, even though he's not up here racing with these guys. He, like we talked about, he still has a possible chance of making the playoffs, and him just riding around in 4th.
Dylan Patterson backwards.
Oh, we see Dylan Patterson spun around here off of turn 1.
And he just basically has to wait until these cars go by before he can get back out there. Then he gets into the grass and can't get it back forward again. I mean, I'm telling you, that's road course racing right there.
I wonder if our old infamous turn 1 cam would give us any insight on what just happened there with Dylan Patterson.
We could definitely check it out. You know what? Let's do that. Let's go to our very first rec replay brought to you by BeerStreetJournal.com and see if that turn 1 camera caught anything. And it looks like it was right there in that area. As you'll see the blue car coming into frame, and he just got up on that curb, and I don't think he could save it after that. But
no. Oh, it looked like he might have had a little bit of help, actually, from one of the JW Racing cars. I'm not sure who that was. It's Michael Larch. I think he might have possibly had a little bit of help.
Got up on the curb, and it looks like he got a little tap. And that's
right in front of Greg Olenek as well.
That is all it takes right here, but we will get back to the race, and Kyle Benson still under fire here by Jack Hedgecox.
I think Jack Hedgecox kind of overheated his tires there those first couple laps.
We've got to go to another wreck replay here because while we were
Oh.
away, James Shane Wolf wrecked.
Oh.
Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can get this pulled up here.
This is turn 7 coming in here. We talked about going off into the sand here is really easy.
That's exactly what he did. So he is going to fall all the way down to 7th position. Oh, gets really close to Vincent Cortez there, but gets back on the track. So James Shane all the way back to 8th now. And so that is definitely going to hurt his race.
Thankfully he didn't go off and hit anything, so he should be okay.
Still a great battle for the lead up here. I mean, I know it looks a little bit distant if we were talking about ovals. This ain't an oval. This could go away really quick.
Even if this was an oval, it's still pretty close. I mean, and half a second on a road course is a lot shorter of a distance than half a second on a regular oval. But yeah, like I was talking about with Jack Hedgecock, you see Kyle Benson get loose there out of the carousel. I think Hedgecock's might have overdrove his rear tires there those first couple laps, and then once Benson got by, he just started riding and saving his stuff, and now he's kind of reeling Benson back in.
You know, I got to tell you, I just got a text from one of the admins that says that a lot of the guys out there are apologizing to each other when stuff happens and stuff like that, which is really, really classy to hear. And you know, hey, sorry I did that, sorry I got into you, that sort of thing. And I'll tell you a really quick story since this isn't really not really a huge battle going on right now, but very, very quick story. That's how I got into Speed Racing Network. Here at Watkins Glen, I absolutely crushed Danny Setzer, and I apologized to him, and he went to Jason Tripp and said, this is the guy that I want on Speed Racing Network.
Really? They wanted you? Oh,
yeah. After I completely crushed Danny Setzer, by the way.
That explains a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take it.
But no, I mean that's what we hope to have is we see Ted Wreckage with a lot of damage on that race car.
Yeah, let's go back and find out what happened with him because it looks like he is pulling the car off the track. It looks like he may be done.
Maybe had a little issue over in turn 7 and turn 8. I mean that's the only thing. Yep, right here off turn 8.
Marcy was just stopped.
And Seth Reid, one of our guys, trying to lock himself in tonight.
Let's find out what happened with Josh Marcy here.
Got in the grass, maybe?
Oh,
yep,
yeah, that's it.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah, just got in the grass and
Rhett Tucker hit him.
Nowhere for those guys. Oh, wow, Seth Reid involved. A lot of our big names involved in that, so definitely. Ooh.
Oh, somebody else got into it there at the very end as well.
I believe that was Matthew Robinson that got involved as well. So, yeah, I mean, all sorts of damage.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want to do for turn 8. You kind of want to come up just a little bit to set yourself up for the entry, but you can go too far and either get the left front in the grass or get the right or get the left rear in the grass. Typically, if you do the left front, you're okay, but if, as we saw there, he got the left rear and it just spun him around.
Now, Jack Hedgecock's putting a lot of pressure on Kyle Benson here, and now we're going to find out who's got the tires to make it happen.
I think the best thing for Jack to do is stay right where he's at and wait for Kyle to make a mistake, because it's very simple to do. If you can just add a little bit of pressure to Kyle Benson, he'll make a mistake and you'll be able to get the run down one of these straightaways to get by him.
And waiting in the wings there, Adrian Schumacher has cut it down to under a second between him and the leader. And so he is just waiting for these guys to get side by side so he can make his move too.
I think Adrian Schumacher's just sitting here sizing these two guys up, kind of seeing where they're better, where he's better, just so when he gets up to him, he knows where he can make his move.
I mean, great racing. You don't typically see this good of racing for this long on a road course. So for 13 laps, these guys have been going at it.
Yeah, now this is what's going to be interesting here is we're about halfway through lap 13. These guys can go about 20 laps on fuel, so it's going to be really, really close here at the end of the race on whether or not these guys are going to be able to make it on one stop.
Yeah, so they also have to conserve that fuel at the same time. So really tough to do.
As we see, I saw Dylan Patterson just up ahead of these guys as we saw him spin out of turn 1 a couple laps ago and about to go a lap down to our leaders.
Yeah, he has had some troubles here today.
And we'll see how much of a factor that plays tonight, because we saw it play a big factor, with Brad Herman, and then at the end with Blair Holloman having to get through some lap traffic to go on and win the race last night. So we'll have to see how much lap traffic affects the race between these 3 guys up front tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not to say that Dylan Patterson's a bad driver, because he's not. He was a playoff driver last season, really good driver. Just a bad race for him here tonight, and maybe road courses just aren't his thing. I don't know.
Well, not only that, and I'm not saying lap cars are bad drivers, but especially here at Watkins Glen, on the broadcast that the track looks a lot wider than it actually is out on the racetrack. Not very much room for error when you're side by side with somebody, and it can really cost you a lot of time.
Well, Dylan Patterson lets them all by cleanly, just kind of stays out of the way, which is a classy move on his part. Kyle Benson, Jack Hedgecock's resumed their battle, and again, Adrian Schumacher just kind of waiting in the wings.
And I think right now these 3 guys are all kind of content with where they're at, because I mean they have a 9-second lead back to 4th place of Brad Herman, as he's got a little bit of right front damage on his car as well. But I think those 3 guys up front are just content.
Shane Wolf off the track again in the same spot.
Really struggling there with turn 7 is Tristan Bailey. I talked about him a minute ago being up in the top 10, and last time we talked about him he was 15th. So closing up on Shane Wolf here for 9th.
Yeah, biggest mover of the race so far is actually, we talked about him just a little bit earlier, Greg Olenek. He is up into 19th position. So earlier he was outside that spot in order to work his way into the playoffs. Now he is inside that. So if the race ended right here, right now, then Greg Olenek would have pointed his way in.
And not only would Greg Olenek be in, but his teammate Jordan Bain, who's sitting in 8th, would also be in.
Right. So a lot of stuff on the line here on a road course, which, in one sense sounds absolutely crazy for the admins to put this race so close to the cut line, or to the cut week. But at the same time, it's absolutely genius, because it really just makes it that much more important to practice.
Not only that, it makes it a lot more exciting for guys like me and you and all of our viewers out there to watch this race, because a lot of guys are saying, hey, I need to get my way into the playoffs before we, you don't want to procrastinate and wait till the last minute to try to get yourself in. You want to get yourself in as fast as you can.
Checking down the list here, really, this is the closest race on the track right now for position, is right up here at 1, 2, 3. So we're not going to cut away from this just yet, unless something else happens around the track. But great battle here as they're coming up on some more lap traffic. Looks like Brian Huntley Jr. Went off the track for just a brief moment, got right back on there.
Yeah, I mean, I said that the fuel runs about 20 laps. I think if you can save just a little bit, and I don't know if Jack Hedgecock or Adrian Schumacher or even our leader could be possibly doing it as well, but if these guys can save a little bit, they might be actually able to short pit and try to get around these guys. Like Adrian Schumacher could pit 1 lap earlier than Kyle Benson and Jack Hedgecock, and actually come out in front of them after the pit cycle is over.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw last night as well, where a couple of the cars that came into short pit actually got out really good. And here we go. Jack Hedgecock's going to the inside. Not quite going to get there.
That was a perfect opportunity. I was talking about Jack waiting for Kyle to make a mistake, and he did. He kind of curb hopped that bottom curb going into 1, and that gave Jack a really good opportunity with the momentum he had off of turn 1.
While Jack is doing what he's doing out there, back in 7th place, his teammate Jose Castellanos is turning in a good race as well.
as you see him sliding a little bit there coming out of the S's. I think that's as a whole, I think the S's is probably one of the slickest parts of the racetrack tonight, just because you're powering up the hill and the rear end gets light as you come across the top of it. And then when you go through that right-hander after it, you're just sliding the whole time. As we see, he's sliding the whole time at the moment, going through the carousel.
I'm going to have to talk to Travis Trevelyan and company on that, because we don't see his number on there, Travis. Got to get a number.
I think it'd be something to ask our old buddy Brandon Domain as well.
While we're talking about Brandon Domain, let's jump back there, see where he's at. He's in 14th position, up one spot from where he started, so still turning in a decent race here. He needs to move up a few more positions if he wants to get a little bit closer to the playoffs. I think he was 27 points out, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I think if he can have a top 10 finish tonight, I think that would really help him out in the points, as we see lap traffic being a factor again with our leaders.
Oh, Jack Hedgecox was trying to outbrake Kyle Benson there, not sure. Oh, and Kyle Benson goes to the grass. That is going to give the lead to Jack Hedgecox.
Well, not only that, I think it's going to help out Schumacher here too, because it might give him a pretty good run here out of the carousel. So we might see Schumacher. Oh, he got a little bit loose, so take that away.
Well, again, that lap traffic is kind of what ended up causing that, as they used him as a pick. And hey, that's kind of the name of the game sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good strategy. We see it used in real life.
We got stuff
a lot
going
of
on.
times.
Oh my goodness, Mike Lepicki turned backwards on the track. I'm not sure who that other one is. I believe that's Brian Huntley. Yeah, Brian Huntley Jr. Is turned backwards, as well as he comes out and hits the 61. That's Austin Purnell.
That's his teammate.
Oh wow, lots of stuff happening here.
Yeah, that was. Oh, here comes our leaders too, so you got to be careful right here. Purnell.
Well, they get through cleanly, so Jack Hedgecox still maintains that lead. But wow, that was a really scary moment for everybody, and a really damaging moment for a lot of those guys.
You got to be careful after you spin out on a road course, because we don't have caution, so you just have to be aware of the drivers that are coming up on you on the courses. We're going to see Adrian Schumacher go under Kyle Benson here going into the carousel.
Try to come off this corner and get in front of him completely. Not going to be able to clear him just yet.
Now he could use this, because Kyle Benson's not going to have the preferred entry line into turn 7, but he made it work. But Adrian could possibly do the crossover here coming off of turn 8. And actually, I think we're going to see Kyle Benson pit right here.
He is. So he's coming in on lap 18. So I think he's thinking that he can go 22 laps on a pit cycle. He's going to come in and get fresh tires and fuel, as Jack Hedgecox and Adrian Schumacher are going to have to deal with a lot of lap traffic, and a lot of those were in that wreck a little bit earlier.
Yeah, that might have been something else that Kyle Benson saw, was the lap traffic that was up ahead, and he said, hey, if I pit now and come out, I don't have to deal with that, while these guys do, and I can make up time by having a clean racetrack.
Jack Hedgecock's just weaving in and out of these lap cars. They are absolutely everywhere. Got to keep an eye on Adrian Schumacher as well. It is just a cluster back here. I can't believe they all made it through that.
Yeah, especially being grouped up that close going into the bus stop. It's hectic as it is. But Schumacher lost a lot of time on Hedgecox with all that. 3 seconds. I believe he lost 2 seconds overall, as I think he was a second behind before they caught that group.
Yeah, now Kyle Benson, he comes out of the pits. He is in 12th position out of the pits. So not really in a bad position here, as he's right behind Shane Wolf and Deuscher, I believe. So new tires, he's going to get these nice little turns. He's going to get nice runs off of these turns. As long as he can keep that car pointed straight, he might have a shot here. Jack Hedgecox, Brad Herman, Vincent Cortez, Jordan Bain all coming into the pits. Adrian Schumacher staying out.
Yeah, not sure about that strategy, unless Adrian just thinks that possibly maybe having the freshest tires out there will help him. Or he just feels like he can run his best lap times out there in clean traffic. So
yeah, he's got clean air right now, so it's looking pretty good for him right now.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that works out after the cycle runs its course. But Corey Saucier in second place, has not pitted. I don't know why he's under the 32 tonight. He's in the right number that he's normally in, but for some reason marked down as the 32.
Not really sure what's going on with that, but Jose Castellanos is slotted in the third position, so still 12 seconds behind Adrian Schumacher. Schumacher is still distancing himself from these guys even this late in the run, and now he is going to come into pit.
And, I after watching all of this, I think the man in the catbird seat is going to be Kyle Benson. He's gained, I think, from the time that he pitted to the time that Adrian Schumacher pitted, he gained about 2 to 2.5 seconds on Schumacher. I'm not sure how much time he gained on Hedgecox. Actually, we see he's right there behind Jack Hedgecox as they come out of turn 8.
Yeah, and these two are coming out of that turn, and Schumacher is still in his pit. And so now Schumacher finally gets done with his service. He's going to come out. He is going to be really far behind.
Yeah, so that strategy not really working out for Schumacher. So we're right now it's just down to the Jack Hedgecox and Kyle Benson, and we kind of saw this at the beginning of the race where Hedgecox led a couple laps. Benson got around him, but then Jack retook the lead about 5-6 laps later.
Yeah, Schumacher's going to be 3 seconds behind the leaders here. So it is broken down to a 2-car race at this point, but Schumacher's still got 19 laps to go. Maybe he can get something going.
One thing I will say as well is the first run, Schumacher started, I think, back in about 7th, 8th, somewhere in that area, and ran these guys down after having to get past all those other guys. So maybe now with clean racetrack, he might be able to not only run them down, but pass them as well.
Well, we will keep an eye on those lap times and keep an eye on that distance. As I'm trying to see, I believe Brian Huntley is sideways once again. Yeah, so he is.
Yep.
He's having some trouble out there on the track as he comes back out in front. I believe that's Aaron Gerwitz. Aaron Gerwitz has some damage on that car. He is back in 25th position.
Yeah, kind of trying to look through the field here. Not really seeing any changes from pit stops. Still have about the same order in the top 10 as we had before. Bo Brady, someone we hadn't really talked about, sitting in the field.
Now, he has not pitted yet, according to my screen at least. So I believe he still has to get in there. But if he can make this thing run that long, he's going to have some nice fresh tires here for the last 17-lap run.
Well, and this is the 22-lap mark, that we talked about, and Kyle Benson pitted with 22 to go. So we know if Bo Brady can make it 22 laps, then Kyle Benson can make it to the end.
Well, if that's the case, Kyle Benson is going to have to do something drastic because he's got 1 lap older tires than Jack Hedgecock, and Jack is starting to pull away.
Yeah, I think the best thing for Benson to do is with having those older, that 1 lap, as we see the 63 around again in turn 1, right? Brian Huntley having a rough time with that turn 1.
It is a tough turn. Yeah, Bo Brady's going to come into pits right now. So we are back to Jack Hedgecox, Kyle Benson, Adrian Schumacher, Brad Herman, Vincent Cortez is our top 5.
A new one that we're seeing to the top 10, though, is another JW Racing car of Drew Ballesteros, our winner back from Pocono. Sadly, he's already mathematically out from being able to make the playoffs, but having another strong run here tonight on this tough road course.
Yeah, but look how clean the car is. Front, back, sides, everything is spick and span.
And, I mean, that was one of our keys to the race was, keeping your car clean and keeping it on the racetrack. Is we see Lucas Lyons not following those keys to the race, as I believe he's going to call it a night.
Yeah, he has nothing else to race for here tonight, already being a lap down and being in the truck series. So, yeah, totally understand him calling it a night.
looking at the times, Jack Hedgecox continues to pull away, and Adrian Schumacher not really closing in. So Jack putting in a pretty good run here after these pit stops.
Yeah, we're going to look and see exactly what those lap times look like between Hedgecox and Schumacher. And yeah, Hedgecox is still pulling away.
It's about a tenth faster on lap 23, but last lap they ran just about identical lap times.
Yeah, that 1:13.918, that is the fastest lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. So, not a bad time to do it.
Hey, you had all practice, you had all the qualifying, but when it comes down to race time, that's when you put it all together and show what you got. But we're about to have a battle for second, and actually that battle is already over as Schumacher goes around Kyle Benson.
So now Schumacher's still 3.5 seconds behind Jack Hedgecox. So Kyle Benson just lost time there. And so, again, he came in 2 laps earlier than Adrian Schumacher. And so that tire fall off already has made an effect.
Yeah, we see typically at the regular 1.5-mile tracks that short pitting tends to work. It doesn't really tend to work as well on road courses. You kind of want to have the freshest tires that you possibly can. So late pitting doesn't really hurt you, but as we're seeing between Jack Hedgecox and Adrian Schumacher, it doesn't help you either. But I feel like short pitting sometimes kind of hurts you.
Yeah, our winner from last night, Blair Holloman, saying as long as you're comfortable, worn tires can still be fast. So absolutely the truth. I mean, if you know what you're doing on those worn tires, then definitely. Blair, I will tell you, I don't know what I'm doing on them. I don't know what I'm doing on fresh tires either.
And one thing Blair will know, because I've been preaching this all week, and it's a motto that I live by when I road course race, and I say smooth is fast. It doesn't matter how fast you go, how quick you can get on the throttle. If you can keep your car under control and just be smooth with your throttle, smooth with your steering, you're going to be able to save those tires, and you're going to be fast.
Right now, Schumacher is starting to track down Jack Hedgecox a little bit, so let's pull that lap time right back up, and you will see in the last 2 laps, he is caught up by almost 0.8 of a second. And so if he keeps doing that, it's going to be a great race at the finish line.
Yeah, and we saw this last night between Blair Holloman and Landon Card. No, it wasn't Landon Cardulo. I don't remember who finished second last night. But we saw this in the truck race last night. We had a really good finish between the 2 guys, and it came down to the final laps to decide who won that race. And I think we're going to see the same thing again here tonight.
Yeah, it's just a couple turns here or there that Schumacher is just a little bit better, and it's not a ton better, just a little bit better. I think this time around he might lose a little bit of time as he crosses, and
he was just about even there on that lap.
Yeah, he's still.
Oh well, he still gained a 1/10.5.
So and now Hedgecox is getting into this lap traffic, and Stan Houseman in that 39 is not an easy car to pass. He has some speed. He knows how to wheel the car. So definitely going to be a tough little thing here as Jack Hedgecox gets closer and closer.
Shout out to old Brandon Browning. Thank you for that. Brendan telling me last night that Sean Jensick finished second in the truck race. So thank you to my good friend Brandon Browning for sending me that. But we see lap traffic at our normal tracks, and they can kind of move up and get out of the way, but they tend to race the leader a little bit harder. The only problem with lap traffic at a road course is they really don't have anywhere to go, so it's just as hard for Adrian Schumacher as it is for Jack Hedgecox.
Yeah, well, there could be multiple lines around a track, or like an oval, that sort of thing. Here on a road course, if you get outside of your preferred line, then it's so hard to adjust because of all the break points and all that stuff. So if you're trapped to the outside where you're normally on the inside, it is just so hard of your mind to get around what you have to do to get around that turn safely.
As we see there, Adrian Schumacher was a little over half a second faster that lap. But I think we'll actually see Jack Hedgecox be faster the next lap while Adrian deals with this lap traffic.
Like I said, we will keep an eye on those lap times and that distance between the leader and second place as he's trying to get around Stan Houseman, and he will now. And now he will have the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr. in his sights.
Yeah, and this is one of the worst places to catch lap traffic is in the bus stop through the carousel, and he makes pretty good work of the 23 car there, and he'll see now that there's no cars in between him and Hedgecox. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, now it's back up to 2.5 seconds, so he has definitely lost a little bit of time in there. But I don't think he's panicking just yet. It's still 12 laps to go, still plenty of time.
I'll tell you what, though, he used all that racetrack up there going into turn 7. There was, I don't think he could fit a piece of paper in between his right side tires and that grass.
Jack Hedgecock still leads this thing, and so he will likely get that bonus point for leading the most laps as long as this thing holds. So again, another bonus point that he can use in that first round of the playoffs, which is always helpful. We've seen it before where somebody has gotten in with 1 bonus point and somebody has also gotten into the next round with 1 bonus point, and so 1 point does matter.
You know, I kind of want to applaud Jack Hedgecox. You know, we didn't really see him that much in the early part of the season, but this second half of the regular season, he's really turned up the wick and had some really, really good finishes.
And again, everybody knew him as the guy that was sideways at the Roval. So this is complete and total redemption for Jack Hedgecox here tonight.
Well, I mean, not only that, you look back at Richmond where we saw him spinning on the front stretch into the infield grass and came back and finished 3rd at Richmond. So he's put together some really nice runs.
As Adrian Schumacher actually looked like he gained about 0.4 of a second on this lap. So he lost that 0.4 of a second last lap as he was dealing with lap traffic. But this time around, it looks like he might have gotten a lot of that back. Yeah, he got a lot of it back. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So, man, this is going to shape up to be a great finish, I think.
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be the last clean lap for Jack Hedgecox, as there's another little small pack of lap cars just ahead of him. So they're coming out of they're going into the bus stop as he's coming out of the S's. You can see him there at the end of the straightaway.
We will see if he can catch them coming out of this carousel. Might be a little bit longer, but the closest race on the track right now, Bo Brady and Brandon Domain here, as Bo tries to take away that 13th position, and he will as Brandon Domain gets a little bit wide.
Yeah, and remember, Bo Brady's got the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, as he was the last car to end that pit cycle right there on lap 22.
Looks like Dylan Patterson's sideways here.
We saw him around we saw him around earlier in turn 1, and this is right here on the entry to turn 8. So he's probably another one of those that got off in the grass coming off turn 7, and looks like he spun around there.
Yeah, but he's going to get back out there and try to get any points he can possibly get for his team, if any points at all. So definitely every point helps.
That last lap, Adrian was still faster, but he only gained about 0.2 compared to the lap that he gained a little over 3 the lap before, but still reeling in our leader.
Yeah, 0.2 of a second for the next 9 laps, and we are even side by side. And now we're getting into lap traffic once again. So we will see how Jack Hedgecox deals with it, as he's got the 66 of Nathan De La Rosa right in front of him.
Yeah, then you have the 52 of Michael Larch, and then up ahead of them is the 99 of Rhett Tucker.
That lead just keeps on getting shaved off more and more and more, especially as he gets onto the bumper of De La Rosa.
Kind of forced the issue a little bit there. I don't think De La Rosa had quite given him enough room yet, but he made a little bit of extra room because he's seeing that Schumacher's closing up that gap more and more.
Yeah, both those lap cars are going to get down to the inside, at least for a little time. to allow these cars by. But as you get into turn 1, they have to kind of line up, and Adrian Schumacher is going to get caught behind him again as we go into the S's.
Yeah, another thing I want to point out, Sean, is the next car that Jack Hedgecox is going to catch is Greg Olenek, and Greg Olenek's running 16th, so almost half, well, a little bit over half the field now. Yeah, a little bit over half the field now is a lap down.
And that just shows how fast these guys are. I mean, just being able to lap an entire field on a 2.5-mile course, it's just insanity.
As we see as Adrian Schumacher gets through those 2 lap cars, he's again lost a little bit of time to Jack Hedgecox, now back up over a little bit over 2 seconds.
But like you said, Greg Olenek just in front. Now, Greg knows what he has to do to get into the playoffs, and that is just to finish 21st or better. I don't think he's going to hold these guys up at all. I think he just wants to run his race, finish his 16th or 17th place, get into the playoffs, and call it a day.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the pre-race show, his objective for the night was just to, keep his car clean and make sure he finished ahead of where he needed to be to clinch his spot. So I'm right there with you on guessing that he's just going to get out of Hedgecock's way once he gets to him.
Yeah, he is not affiliated with either team from these guys. I mean, just there's no reason for him to slow anybody down. I just don't think he will.
Be a little bit of affiliation with Jack Hedgecox since Greg and Brandon are really good friends, but I don't think Greg's gonna do anything to alter the end of this race.
Yeah, he just gets out of Jack's way here, and then he'll tuck back into the line coming out of the carousel before Adrian Schumacher gets to him.
Not really seeing the lead shrink like we were a couple laps ago, even with Hedgecox getting around Greg Olenek. Hedgecock's still holding a steady 1.8 second gap over Adrian Schumacher.
Yeah, but now we're getting to the point where the tires start to really fall off, and we saw a little bit earlier that Hedgecox was getting a little bit sideways in a couple of those turns. So maybe that will rear its ugly head once again. We'll have to just wait and see.
So it came to 6 to go that time by, and it's starting to get down to the nitty gritty for Adrian Schumacher. It's now to the point to where he has to gain, about a quarter of a second a lap.
Yeah, he is going to have to start putting down some serious laps here in order to have any shot at all, because Jack still has some blue skies in front of him here. He's got some lap cars coming up, but right now he's out of that danger, and Adrian still has to get by Greg Olenek.
Yeah, I think the objective for Jack right now is just hit his marks, don't make any mistakes, and then you don't have to worry about Adrian catching you. The one thing that Jack doesn't want to see is more lap traffic.
Well, he's going to see it because it is coming up. I'm trying to figure out who that is that's in front of him.
I believe it was Rhett Tucker is right there in front of him, the 99. And then I don't know.
You can see just how fast he's going to get up on the bumper. That's Josh Marcy there. And then he is going to slam those brakes. As Josh Marcy just goes way off the track.
He might have been doing that just to get out of the way of the lead. Well, never mind. Where'd he go?
All right, that was the turn 1 deal. So.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I mean, just we'll do a really quick rec replay here.
Yeah, that turn one camera perfect for that shot.
Yeah, that was an interesting little turn there. So. Or maybe a non-turn is what we can call it, because he just went straight through turn 1. He didn't turn.
Almost looks like he had no brakes, but still continues on and without a whole front nose on that car.
So leads down to 1.6 seconds now. So Schumacher has put down those laps like we said that he really needed to. And now we're getting to Rhett Tucker on lap traffic, and I don't know, Jack. If Jack can make quick work here of Rhett Tucker, then I think he's got this thing in the bag. But if Rhett holds him up at all here, I think it might cause a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think for Jack Hedgecox, this is going to probably be the last lap car that he's going to see for this race. As the next car in front of Rhett Tucker is Seth Reid in 15th. But Seth Reid is about to be entering the bus stop. So I don't think Jack's going to see any other lap traffic after he gets past Rhett Tucker.
So Rhett goes to the inside and allows Jack to go right by. And so that worked out really well for him as Adrian Schumacher now gets around Rhett Tucker as well. So great move there by Rhett Tucker. Thank you for just kind of stepping aside and letting these guys race it out. I truly expect nothing less from Rhett Tucker. He's been classy all season.
Yeah, plus I don't know what happened to Rhett Tucker early in the race, but he's 7 laps down. So not sure what happened to him earlier to put him in that position. But now I like I said, I think it's just going to be between these two guys because the next lap car ahead of Hedgecox is a little bit ahead of him, and I'm not sure that they're going to catch him before the end of this race.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker was involved in that earlier wreck that claimed Joshua Marcy and Ted Rekich and a few of our leaders. So I will let you know that James Shane Wolf has pulled the car off the track, so he will finish in 30th place is what it looks like. So basically his hopes for the playoffs probably gone until the week 14 playoff lucky dog. So he still has a good shot at that, but for right now to point his way in, it was a long outside shot, but I think that's going to be dashed here tonight.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, with the playoff lucky dog, he's a really strong racer on our 1.5-mile racetracks, and Las Vegas is our first playoff race, so he's gonna have a really good shot of still being able to make it.
Yeah, we are on 3 laps to go. The lead's still 1.4 seconds, so Hedgecock is going to have to make a mistake in order for Schumacher to take advantage of it. But if not, it is going to finish as Jack Hedgecock and Adrian Schumacher. Kyle Benson worked his way all the way back after his pit cycle and everything. He is, whoa, wow, what on earth? And that allows Adrian Schumacher to take the lead. Oh my goodness gracious, that we're going to go back and we're going to get a rec replay of that because that happened at the absolute worst time for Jack Hedgecox.
Yeah, and with 2 laps to go, it's going to be really hard for him to make up that gap that he just lost to Schumacher. As we see Austin Moore got off there in turn 7, and Derek Da Silva just got into him going into turn 8, and we saw Seth Reid have a hard time getting around him, and then after that, it
had cleared up by the time the Schumacher got by. Wow! And so that changes absolutely everything. It's Adrian Schumacher now has a 1.8 second lead on Jack Hedgecox. That is unbelievable.
Basically just reversed roles. It was about 1.5 seconds between the two before that, and now it's a little bit over 1.5 seconds after the fact. So, and Schumacher was putting in faster lap times than Hedgecox, so I think it's going to be really hard for Jack to try to run him back down.
Ooh, and so Adrian Schumacher is still 2.5 miles away as he will cross the line for the white flag here at the Battle at the Glen 100.
Off into turn 1, and as long as there's no other issues like what we saw with Jack Hedgecox and guys sitting in the middle of the racetrack, I think this is Adrian Schumacher's race to lose.
He's been consistent all day long, and so no surprise that he is up here. Jack Hedgecock still an incredible race, just worst luck at the absolute worst time, but he will still take a good second place finish, but I know he wanted that win.
Yeah, you know, he definitely wanted that win and going to be really, really heartbroken after what happened there. Closing up the gap ever so slightly, but with only 2 corners left, I don't see him getting there.
Yeah, Adrian Schumacher coming around the turn, and he will take one final turn here on turn 8. And he will finish this thing off. So he comes off the corner, and Adrian Schumacher will win the battle at the Glen 100. Jack Hedgecock's there in second.
Wow.
And not really sure. I mean, Adrian slowed down drastically there at the end. I'm wondering, is he out of fuel?
He could possibly be.
No, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. Wow.
But rounding out your top 5 real quick. Kyle Benson will bring it home third after leading early in the race. Brad Herman, Truck Series driver up to the Xfinity Series tonight, will finish 4th, and Vincent Cortez for Tank Racing will finish 5th.
Yeah, Corey Saucier there in 6th, Jose Castellanos in 7th, Jordan Bain from Rev Racing in 8th, and so he will work his way into the playoffs. Tristan Bailey in 9th, and then Zach Deutscher in 10th. And so that's your top 10 as we watch Adrian Schumacher get his victory lap in. And we will speak to him and Jack Hedgecock and Kyle Benson as well here very shortly. But as he comes around, let's pull up the results here and show them the rest of the top 18 here. So looks like we got Bo Brady there in 11th as an independent coming down from the Cup Series. Drew Ballesteros for JW Racing in 11th. I'm sorry, in 12th. Devin Zimmerman from Tank Racing in 13th. Brandon Domain from Stryker Motorsports in 14th. Seth Reid from Highline Racing in 15th. Greg Olenek from Rev Racing in 16th. Michael Larch from JW Racing in 17th. And in 18th, Nathan De La Rosa from Jonathan Beyer Racing.
Yeah, so Greg Olenek as well, finishing 16th, will lock himself into the playoffs.
As we watch Adrian Schumacher celebrate, and I mean, sometimes in racing, you got to have some luck on your side too, and he does here tonight. He is going to absolutely destroy this car.
I think he's trying to do. I saw him do it at the Roval. He did like these reverse burnouts, and I had no idea how he was doing them.
Always fun to watch. But let's see if we can't get a couple of our drivers in here for interviews. As I'm looking to find Kyle Benson, but
oh boy.
Oh, all right. And that is the way to finish. As he will stay upside down. I'm pretty sure his teammates, yep, here comes Jose. I thought Jose was going to go over and
Jose, that's Vincent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Vincent Cortez, sorry. So trying to yeah, it's not going to work. Oh, what a fun race. I'm looking through to see if we have
Kyle Benson?
our Kyle Benson in here. I do not see him.
I got him.
You do have him. Okay.
Yep. Oh, well, I had him.
Oh, is he gone, Landon?
Yep.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, so well, Kyle Benson. He's
right here.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
what's up?
Kyle, great job on third place finish there. I mean, I know started off third, ended up third. I know you had the lead there for just a little while. Tell us about your race.
It was a great time. I really didn't think I'd come in here with have that much speed with Hedgecock and Schumacher, which is pretty much really good at road courses. So I was surprised with my speed, and just that last stint kind of killed me because I think the 2-lap fresher tires, which is kind of crazy how quick tires are and how tires are very dependent here. So other than that, it was a great time.
Yeah, you know, you're a regular in the Cup Series, and you come down to the Xfinity Series tonight. You know, what do you take away from tonight's race that's going to help you on Sunday?
It's gonna be you got to go from go. Like not the tire wear is not as bad as it was a few builds ago. So there's not gonna be a lot of tire wear. Track's gonna have a lot of grip for a Cup car, so it's gonna be a fast track for Sunday. So I hope I can have the same speed and maybe even get a win tomorrow. Well, Sunday, not tomorrow.
That's all right. Hey, you can race tomorrow night too. Still, I mean,
Yeah,
we're not running the race, but hey, you can do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
So, who would you like to thank here tonight before we get you back down there to celebrate third place?
The guys over at HMG, HMG Innovations, they're sponsoring my races this year for Cup. Murray Reedy Motorsports, great bunch group of guys. Tristan and Herman coming in tonight, and nice to have talked to some people, but friends, family, and that's pretty much it.
Well, man, once again, congratulations on a third place finish, and we will definitely see you Sunday night and see what you can do there in the Cup car.
All right, thank you, buddy.
All right, man, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, we'll drop him back down into his chat here, and let's go talk to Jack Hedgecox and see where his head's at here. I'm pulling him in right now. Jack Hedgecock, Sean, and Landon up in the booth, man. Horrible disappointment there at the end, but still a second-place finish and an incredible race.
Yeah, I'm pretty gutted, but second still second, so I'll take it. At least I kept it clean this time. So mostly, I think lap one or lap two I hit Benson on the going into turn one. Didn't know what his braking was, but other than that, it's pretty clean. I don't know exactly. I didn't look at the details. I was just kind of been sitting here, but yeah, congrats to Adrian and them. He drove great race, just sitting behind me and Benson while we're fighting, and he got it. So just.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your misfortune, Jack, but kind of to go on a little, happier side, so to say. Here, especially here in the second half of the regular season, you've just been putting together great runs week in and week out. So, how do you feel this helps you with your momentum as we edge closer and closer to the playoffs?
Pretty. I guess it's ever since I had the incident in Roval. After that, I was gone for like a week or two, and then came back with a redemption arc. But I think I don't know what the point situation is. I don't know, but I know I'm definitely going even higher now. So hopefully I don't know if I could lock myself in next week, or I don't even know how many weeks there are left. I don't pay that much attention to it. I just race. So, but yeah, I definitely know I put myself in a good spot for playoffs. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Well, here, I'll tell you so you don't have to look. You were 28 points inside the Cup before you came in here, and obviously a second-place finish is going to move you even higher on the list. Pretty sure you've got just an incredible shot as long as you just show up next week for the most part. We will definitely get you those clinching scenarios hopefully later this evening so that everybody knows that. But you were talking about the redemption arc, and, for a couple of races there, you were just known as the guy that was sideways at the Roval. And do you consider this specific race, because it's a road course, to be that redemption?
It all came full circle, right? It just would have been nice to top it off, going from the guy that caused the whole field to stop at once to winning the race. But I put it all out there. I couldn't do much else, and I was definitely quick, and I said that last week that I knew I would be good around here, and I'd say I held up to that. So, I'm definitely, on the bright side, definitely happy that I finally did well at a road course, since that's what I mainly do. So, glad I can live up to it. So,
well, man, great work. Is there anybody you'd like to thank before we get you back down there to your team?
Yes, I do. I got thanks, Stryker and all the guys. Unfortunately, I think Marco didn't get to show up tonight, so hopefully he's still in it for playoffs. And I think all of us did pretty well towards the top there. I know Jose got a top 10, and looks like Brandon got a top 15, so good points for the three of us at least. And thanks to Grid Finder, Silverback Tax Solutions, TobyChristie.com, IR Bodies, and then Tactics Pro Gear. Got them this time, boys. Only took me a couple times, so
That's all right.
yeah, but thanks to all of them, and go on to the next week.
Hey man, the more you keep doing this, the more used to it you'll be, and it's no problem. You'll learn them by heart because I have a feeling we're gonna see you a lot more up here in this booth. But congratulations on a second place finish. Go down and celebrate with your teammates, and we'll let you know how you're looking on the playoffs here very shortly.
Alrighty, have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, let's go talk to Adrian Schumacher and get his feelings on it here. Hey, Adrian, this is Sean and Landon up in the booth. Now, I got to tell you, there's lucky, and then there's good, and then there's lucky and good. I think you fall in the third category. Oh, Adrian. See, we don't have Adrian in this chat for whatever reason. You know what?
Yeah.
We're going to pull him into race chatter here because I believe we had this issue the last time we had him.
We did.
So let's jump down into race chatter here. Adrian, can you hear us? Nope, nothing from Adrian here. So definitely something going on there. Not really sure exactly what it is. We do not have him muted. We're going to have to figure that one out.
Maybe we could try moving him down to his race team.
Let's do
Doing it
that.
that
Let's move him down into his team, and maybe we'll have a little bit better luck. So I will meet you down there, buddy.
All right.
Hey, Tank Racing, we are still live here trying to get an interview with Adrian Schumacher because we have not been able to get him in the other channels. Adrian, can you hear us?
Hey, Danny, he might not answer. He also doubles up as the Stig from Top Gear, so he's a quiet guy.
Well, all right. Well, we will jump back into the broadcast, but we'll talk to him a little bit later. But hey, congratulations, Adrian, if you can hear us on a fantastic race. So
Gone again.
all right. Well, Landon, we were not able to get Adrian into the booth here tonight, but that's all right. I mean, incredible race by him, and like I was saying, there's lucky, there's good, and then there's lucky and good, and that's really what Adrian Schumacher was. He was just right there in the top three the entire time, just waiting on his moment. And once that moment happened, he made it right through.
Yeah, and I was gonna tell him, I was like, please don't show up on Sunday, because I I need a good race on Sunday, even though I'm already locked in. Would like to go into the playoffs just a little bit ahead of my teammate James Holter, as he's on a great run this season. Awesome drive for Adrian Schumacher tonight, for him to have a little bit of luck.
You know what? I'm going to cut you off really quick. We're going to try it one more time because they're saying that his mic is good down in Tank Racing once again. So we're going to drop back down there one more time and try this. I'll bring you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
All right, there you go. Let's try this one more time. Adrian Schumacher, Sean, and Landon in the booth. Man, congratulations on a great race.
Grazie.
Well, man, we finally got the microphone working here, and what I've been telling the audience out there is you were both lucky and good at the same time, and that's just, how do you beat somebody that's lucky and good?
Like LeBron said, describing Curry, you can't. But I know that was definitely Jack's race. He would have got me if that stuff didn't happen. If that was his race, I mean, it sucks for him. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I was just telling Sean here. I was like, I just wanted to tell Adrian to please not show up on Sunday. Because I feel pretty good about my chances on Sunday. But hey, be more than glad to have you on Sunday and race with you, if that's your plan. So I guess that'd be my next question: is are you planning on moving up to the Cup Series again for this road course race?
If you guys will have me, sure.
We'll be more than happy to have you. And real quick to follow up, we saw you there, kind of just like stalking Hedgecock's there. One lap you'd be faster, the next lap he would be faster, but a lot of it had to do with lap traffic. So how much did lap traffic play a role between you and him?
It did play a role. Even though I do want to thank for the great racecraft the lap down cars did perform. It did make it easier and not as much time as it would, but yeah, it definitely played a factor.
Well, man, now that we're down in here with your entire team and everything, I'm going to ask you, who do you have to thank here tonight?
All right, let's go down the list. So I'd like to thank Healthcare and Billing, Chicago Heights, Liftworks, Raise Energy, Hunter Dawn, Butcher Box, Teespring, Common Sense, Supplements, Invaders and Designs, and all my tank teammates, and the man upstairs. But yeah, grazie ragazzi.
Hey, man, great job here tonight. Congratulations once again. And hey, if we see you Sunday, great. If not, then we will see you next week at Michigan.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, and we are going to jump back up out of their chat here so they can talk amongst themselves. But Landon, fantastic race here tonight with a surprise ending.
Yeah, we kind of to follow up on the truck race again that we had last night. Kind of ended up the same way. Last night we saw Blair Holloman able to hold on to the lead and win that race, and then tonight Jack Hedgecock's with a little bit of unfortunate luck. Ends up losing the lead here in the final laps to Adrian Schumacher. So Watkins Glen definitely living up to its name this week so far.
All right, well, we are still not done at Watkins Glen this week. We do have the Cup Series race, but next week for the Xfinity Series, we do have Week 13, so the final week before the playoffs, and they cannot drop this week either. So this is the most important race of the season, the Great Lakes 150 from Michigan International Speedway, Thursday, October 7th at 8:30 p.m. But like I said, we are right back here at the Glen Sunday, October 3rd for the Cup Series, where our very own Landon Lacey will compete, and he has actually already worked his way into the playoffs. So really not a meaningful race playoff-wise for Landon, but certainly one that he wants to notch on his belt.
Yeah, not a meaningful race for points, but definitely a meaningful race for myself because I do pride myself in being a good road course racer. Put in a lot of practice so far this week, so really looking forward to this race on Sunday. Just hoping not to have the bad luck that we saw with Jack Hedgecock's tonight.
Oh, man. Again, another great race here in the Xfinity Series. But for right now, we're going to let everybody get on with their lives, and we will see everybody here Sunday, October 3rd, for the Battle of the Glen, 125 here at Watkins Glen. But for right now, everybody just remember to go faster.